What would you like to do if money were no object? How would you really enjoy spending your life?
Welcome to the Datsusara podcast.
If you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you will spend your life completely wasting your time. You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living, that is, to go on doing things you don't like doing.
Okay, so welcome to the Datsusara podcast. I'm your host, Chris Odell. Today we are here with Mr. Travis Newaza Warner. Normally you guys know I do like a separate intro thing this time. We're just going to go into it, and I will just tell you a little bit about Travis while he's sitting here. It always seems odd to me when people get to have to sit there through their own like bios, but here we go. So you are, currently you are the head instructor over at Rose City Jiu Jitsu. Oh, and I wanted to say, guys, that I know I've done like a string of more political and psychological, philosophical podcasts. There will obviously be some of that in here. However, yeah, we're getting back to the jiu-jitsu a little bit. So for those of you that don't give two shits about jiu-jitsu, this might not be your episode. Those of you that do, I hope you will find it very fascinating. And those that are just jiu-jitsu curious, well, welcome. Okay, so Travis, let's see. So currently you are the head instructor over at Rose City Jiu-Jitsu in Portland. You also founded the Americana Jiu-Jitsu Collective, which was out there in the desert somewhere of Cali there. And most people know you from, well, before we get to what most people know you for.
There's a lot of, they know me for a lot of things.
A lot of things. I mean, including your long jiu-jitsu sort of career, and you were a martial artist, I believe, probably before that too. I don't know. You certainly study a lot about martial arts. You know more history than I could ever hope to hold in my head about it. But let's say, okay, so I don't know when you exactly started, but you have won a number of tournaments, the North American Grappling Association San Jose Expert Heavyweight Champion, Gracie National No-Gi Brown Belt Heavyweight Champion, and you are still a brown belt under Eric Paulson, for those who want to get into lineage there. 2015.
Yeah, I won that. I did that. Okay, so I know that you love the Gracie tournaments.
Yes,
also love the Gracie tournaments. Okay, so Gracie tournaments are submission-only events, and it's like the biggest purveyor of that, is Rose Gracie. So Rose Gracie, long time. I love Rose Gracie. I love competing in those events. So I've competed in those events, both in the jacket, without the jacket, and I did the blue. It was the first time I competed at the Gracie tournaments. I competed at Gracie Nationals, and I broke both my floater ribs 2 weeks before I was supposed to compete, and I could not train at all. So I didn't train for 2 weeks. I came back. And I trained one day, the day before the tournament, and I signed up as a brown belt because in that, without the jacket, at the brown belt division, you're allowed to, do all the leg attacks. So for me, not wanting to shoot in on somebody and get sprawled on, it was going to be really advantageous for me to hit like Teo Managis, Kami Basamis, like a lot of like the sacrifice tumbling throws into leg locks. So Chris warned you we were going to talk about leg locks. So jiu-jitsu is like one of my favorite things. So I train for a day, and then I compete, and like a lot of times I've been injured and have been getting ready for competitions, and I've had to be able to train without getting that real push that a lot of people feel jiu-jitsu's about. And I think that, like we've talked about like with jiu-jitsu chess and stuff, that jiu-jitsu's not just about the bludgeoning and the pinning, but you really could like bludgeon somebody with a pin with your body. Sure. So I had to avoid that. So going into that division, I leg attacked everybody. I heel hooked everybody. And I won the brown belt division as a blue belt. Yeah, and then I could never go back at the Gracies. So the Gracies are legit in that if you win the brown belt division or like a division above, you're not going back, Jack. Like, guess what? You're with the Cowboys now, and that's fine. That's fine. Like I like to hang out with the Cowboys and getting some some gunslinging moments with these guys. Well, when you both get like leg attacks, it's a shootout. It's a dang shootout, and that's why people are like, oh, like they're really dangerous. It's just like, leg locks are really dangerous, especially when you both are just attacking each other instead of
just
defending.
wrenching on it. Yeah,
right on. So but I personally, I think like the double wrist lock is a more dangerous bone lock than the heel hook. I think because if someone double wrist locks you, when I say double wrist lock, I'm talking about the reverse utegorami. If you've been around BJJ, you know about the match with Kimura and Helio Gracie. So Kimura famously uses, the reverse utegorami. The double wrist lock is like the translation against Helio, and thus the name Kimura is like forever associated with this move. And I feel like it's practiced a lot. But you could damage somebody's shoulder, and they can never climb up a ladder again. They can never high five you aggressively. Yeah. And for me in my life, high fiving people aggressively is important. So so I dove on the legs, and then I went into catch wrestling and all this other stuff. But I do like the Gracie tournaments, and Datsusara has been sponsoring the Gracie tournaments as long as I've been going to them.
As much as I can. Rose has been generous with helping us make that sponsorship possible for her nights. Yeah, it's a great tournament. I really like those a lot. I'm glad she's still doing them, because I know for a minute she was going to quit doing them, and it seems like they're back. So we'll see. Hopefully they keep going.
And look how many submission-only tournaments there are now.
Yeah.
Like now it's very common.
Yeah, now it seems to be more the norm, whereas not that long ago it was certainly, hey, Buddha, we're doing a podcast here, buddy.
This podcast is brought to you by feedyourdog.com.
That's right. Yeah, for those of you that know me, that's Buddha. He's barking away. We're doing this downstairs in the house, a little casual, so there may be some dog barking, there may be a child running through. But anyway, moving on. So you got a couple of things there at Gracie World where you won, and then you got...
And then I lost a bunch, so then I was competing against these badass black belts, and I was just not badass enough, and I was just getting... face cranked and neck locked repeatedly, and it was great though. But I had some awesome matches. I got to go against Josh Hinger after I tore my PCL in my match before that against Kong Sorelli. So in the semifinals, I tear my PCL. I went to omoplata, and I forced my leg over a big 360-pound Kong Sorelli's head. And Kong's one of my favorite guys that I compete against. And here, two guys I compete against on the same day are some of my favorite people to, associate with, like, as far as grappling, because, man, they're fucking killers. Yeah. Kong, being a power lifter, he fought Den Severn, older MMA fighting legend, and he was very intense to go against. He brings the pressure. He used to compete at like 265. Now he's like 360.
That's a big boy.
Yeah. So if you guys ever watch the match, it's him smushing me like a bug for like 15 minutes. I finally get up, and I'm like just trying to cross face his mouth, because it was the easiest thing to move. The rest of his body was just too awesome. Yeah. It was too awesome. I couldn't do anything. And then I dove on a heel hook. Now my match with Josh Hinger, I really had to dig deep, because my PCL was torn, it's just hurting. Yeah. And the
PCL, that's part of the knee ligaments. If I remember correctly.
It's the big thick one on the side. It's really hard.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yep.
So I go with Josh, and he really kind of like you go against, like I went against Tom DeBlast too, and these guys are able to disengage with you, and it's like while darting in and out, and that's why I'm saying like Jiu Jitsu is not about just bludgeoning people with your body, like sometimes you gotta trick guys too. Right. So you gotta smash them and trick them. So overall rule for rolling is, if you're under 35, I'm gonna smash you. Right. Now if you're over 35, I'm gonna trick you.
Seems like a reasonable rule.
Yeah.
Intelligent. Yeah.
But I really respect all those guys, and
good stuff. So you did that, and then you did, I haven't heard, let's see, West Coast King of Catch, heavyweight and absolute champion. I don't know about that tournament.
So
I assume it's catch wrestling.
Yeah, so catch wrestling, this is ran by the North American Catch Wrestling Association. These are a lot of guys who trained with Billy Robinson and Dick Cardinal and Carl Gotch. They're really led by a couple different organizations, CSW and Scientific Wrestling. Both provide a lot of the athletes that compete in these tournaments, and then it's just open to anyone who wants to catch wrestling. So catch wrestling is more like a meeting rule set. Okay, so the style that emerges in is going to be very adaptable, which why Sakuraba is that's why he touts his success with MMA, is how adaptable and applicable it was in every situation. So the rule set is there's a 3-count pin, okay, and you could do any submission you want. Okay. So, and there's 3 falls. So you go against the same guy 3 times. Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
15-minute match length each time.
Yeah. So it's similar to wrestling in those rules, except that you have submissions thrown in, which you don't really have in regular standard, high school, college wrestling.
Yeah,
whatever.
And that's where it all comes from. Freestyle wrestling comes from catch-as-catch-can wrestling. Okay. So it's an international folk style like wrestling. Like when Jiu Jitsu went to Russia, it became Sambo. And it was mixed with the indigenous Eastern European Russian wrestlers who did footlocks. So they're saying that the footlocks were brought by these catch wrestlers into the jiu-jitsu, and then Sambo is kind of like a pancreation of martial arts from Russia. So all powers are used in that. And catch wrestling is it kind of like the pin is really important, and like all the bone locks can feed into control positions as well. So a lot of times catch wrestling could seem a lot more gentle than jiu-jitsu sometimes, because you see some guys kind of like more choppy. It's really interesting. The great work of scientific wrestling and is really like putting out a lot of catch wrestling material. So catch wrestling's still alive, and it's gonna be cool to see like more and more of these catch wrestling associations and these submission only tournaments come up, because they just have interlapping people.
Now in catch wrestling, do you still have taps, or is it more like you're using that submission only to get that pin? The pin's the only way that you win the match.
Oh no, you can do by submission. So one of my matches, I get a guy in a cradle and I'm trying to pin the guy, and the ref is taking like, I feel like I pinned him for like 6-7 seconds. So then I just said screw it, and then I went from the cradle and I let go and I went right to a toe hold. So like all the leg locks, all the arm locks, all the strangles are allowed. Now there are people who are pushing catch wrestling without strangle holds, which is saying, hey, if you can't use a sleeper hold, why?
Come on,
you know what I mean? And
And how long has catch wrestling been around for? And sorry everybody, I know I'm totally ignorant to this. I didn't really follow the trend when it started coming around. So,
well, catch wrestling, there's a couple different styles.
Is it older than Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or?
Oh yeah, so Maeda, the founder of Jiu-Jitsu, he studied at the Kodokan, and it's said that he didn't study directly under Kano as much as he did Kano's first black belt, which was at one time the teacher of the Tokyo Police. He was wanted for fighting up to 15 men in knife fights.
Awesome.
So he was said to have done Guku Ryu Jiu-Jitsu, a Jiu-Jitsu that he studied under this woman named Kyoko Fukada, who was like the mother of judo. She wrote a book called Married to the Tatami, which is great. But
cool.
This man supposedly studied under her father with Higuro Kano, and then they went on to open the Kodokan. He did not want to do judo. He wanted to keep up with the jiu-jitsu, taught Maeda the jiu-jitsu, and they were not allowed to use judo to make money, so they could not do prize matches within Japan. So they left, and they did these prize wrestling matches and all-in fights all around the world. So in England, Maeda went on to do the catch-as-catch-can wrestling. A lot of Japanese judokas went on from the Kodokan to be successful catch wrestlers. So a lot of the English, did best them, as any man would best any man. But Maeda and his jiu-jitsu and catch wrestling blend, then go to New York. They open a jiu-jitsu school in New York. He then goes down, I believe, to the Virginias. At one point, he goes to Cuba, where he has some all-in fights with some kung fu fellers, and then he comes back to the Americas, goes through Mexico, has some matches with some professional boxers, and that is where he gets his nickname Conde Coma, or Count Combat. So it's Spanish.
Okay, so sorry about that, folks. We had a little cut there. Had an amateur moment. I forgot to turn on the do not disturb on the phone that we were recording the video on. Anyhow, so this guy, and by the way, I think there should be a film about this guy's journey, because it would be an awesome martial arts film. So where were we? So he goes down to Mexico. He gets
in
this
Mexico.
name.
He gets the nickname. He goes down to Brazil and he does a tournament. It's called the Amazonas of Jiu Jitsu. So it's the first ever Jiu Jitsu tournament, like in South America, and these people win it who no one knows their names now. You know, I'm sure in Brazil they have the names. So a Jiu Jitsu tournament's happening, and then Maeda goes down and he wrestles for the Circus of the Americas, and he ends up meeting like the Scottish family, the Gracies, who run the Circus of the Americas. So what happens next is he gets a manager by the name of Gustus and Gracie, and he goes on to have his children learn from Maeda. But Maeda was one of a few different people who did have catch wrestling backgrounds, who did come from the Kodokan, who taught jiu-jitsu and judo. So what the Gracies say is that they learned the jiu-jitsu from Maeda, and they would challenge the judokas. So that's like the distinction there. And then you get and then you have like other, but yeah, like the Gracies were throwing catch wrestling matches, and that's how Maeda got there. So like the Gracies were involved in catch wrestling matches. I mean, even still they're involved in the pro wrestling aspect, which wrestling used to be called pro wrestling. Catch wrestling was pro wrestling with submissions, and amateurs could not use submission wrestling. That's why you see a lot of the Scholastic being amateur.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But now you see kids now who are doing jiu-jitsu, and they are not, they're not pursuing wrestling in college. And then you get guys who do both.
Sure. Yeah.
Why
Which
not?
they always kick ass. I gotta say that. I'm generally more afraid of sometimes white belts that come in with like really heavy wrestling experience than I am, people higher up. That's for sure. As it's, they're not always so good off their backs, but other than that, it's like you might as well just practically give them a blue belt when they walk in the door, almost.
Well, if you had to wrestle a bull, you better put a gi on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
So, but they also want you to wear the gi because they want to control you. Anyways.
Right. Yeah.
One of so I did.
Did you say Scottish family? You meant to say Brazilian, right? When you said Gracie?
No, they're from they're Scottish descent.
Are they really?
Yeah. God Gracie's not a Portuguese name.
Okay.
Yeah, and they used to do collar and elbow wrestling. And you know what else I've been reading, and I really am like...
God, I'm so not good with my jiu-jitsu history. All right.
Well, jiu-jitsu. What I like about jiu-jitsu is it's from Japan, and the Japanese are so dang organized. There is a word for every technique.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's about 50 words for the sound of moving water, so...
Well, for like, now you look into side mount or side control. That's our kind of our terms for it. And then there's, and then they'll call it like scarf hold, but it's like kezagatami because they're a kezagatami. There's like 17 different types of kezagatami, so, and there's names for it where, a lot of times people training like jiu-jitsu don't know those names because of a big disconnection from there. And then you get like wrestling rooms who don't have the same lingo as the wrestling room down the street. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like not a lot of time. Like maybe these guys get this move and they know it by a weird name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and then you get some confusion between the two worlds too, where you've got from what I've heard, the Twister, Eddie Bravo's Twister. He'll tell you that was considered a I just forgot what it was just
the guillotine.
The guillotine, right? They call it a guillotine, which always confused the hell out of me because the guillotine, of course, most of us in jiu-jitsu know is a different move or a different name.
Yeah, like a front strangle. Yeah, and so Higan Machado is the one who said it had to be the Twister. Yeah, because they already had the name.
Guillotine. It's so confusing. All right.
Yeah, and like if you like do like a banana split, they used to call that like the spread eagle ride. There's all sorts of crazy. And then you get like different like wrestlers who have different names for different things. And you look at the publications that come out, like you'll learn a lot of different moves with a lot of different names.
Yeah, that is one thing I will say that I like about, I would give like the 10th Planet system. If you just stay in that system, things are named out very clearly, and like everybody knows the lingo. It's like, okay, this is here, that's the path to rubber guard, this goes to there, and it's like you can make fun of the names all you want, and that's fine, but it's at least people know within the system, they know what the hell they're talking about when they're speaking. Whereas a lot of other gyms, it's like you get even just things like, oh, is that a key lock, or is that what was the other name? The Americana or whatever, you get stuff like that, and you're like, God damn, can we just pick a name so that everybody knows what we're talking about? So
we can't. No, we can't all pick the same names.
Apparently not. Yeah, it's weird.
But the Japanese would not
be like that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, well, they're good about that for sure, and you're good at memorizing all that stuff. Or I don't know.
I try. I like. Well, one thing that I talk to a lot of people about jiu-jitsu with, who don't come from a Japanese jiu-jitsu background, is that jiu-jitsu is like a formula. So what like any technique can be jiu-jitsu, but it has to fit into this formula. The first part of the formula is called a kosu. It's the offset. Now it could be like a hit, a bludgeon, like a lift, a rip, a tear, like all sorts of stuff to make you move. Okay. Now what's going to happen next is you are going to be so offensive that they are offensive back to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now when you have caused them to be offensive, you then are going to go into the second move. Okay, the kazushi. So you kosu them, you now kazushi them, and now like the movement, the momentum, the gravity, or the muscular strength is the force going to be used to get your next move, the sukuri, which is like your entry or your fit in. Okay, so now the fourth part of the technique is going to be your kyake, or your execution. It'd be like the kick back on a uchimata, or like a head and arm hip throw, like the kick back, or your kyake could be like the hipping in of the arm lock. So jiu-jitsu comes into this 4 parts.
Interesting. Because that sounds more like just the stand-up. It almost more sounds like the judo beginning. But I'm sure they're related, of course. But then you've got...
Yeah, so striking would be called atemiwaza. Okay. And then standing would be tachiwaza, standing techniques. Strangling techniques, shimiwaza, and then everything on the ground, newaza. So atemiwaza is unique in that it can exist between the standing and the ground. But so can almost all the submissions.
Right. Okay. So tell me
Jiu-jitsu.
So we'll get. So tell me how you got the nickname of Newaza, of Travis Newaza, which we'll get into where that led later. But you were just telling me this because I didn't actually know the history. How'd you get that nickname?
Well, I don't shut up. I don't shut up about Newaza. Well, I don't shut. Well, you see how if I get started talking about jiu-jitsu, I love jiu-jitsu.
You talk about it all, but
I talk about it all, and I talk about jiu-jitsu, and I started really training seriously in judo. Like that's how I really got to be able to train, and I was like 320 pounds. It was just like, and I was like a single dad, and I was like 20 years old, and like I had a baby like by myself. Like it was like jiu-jitsu, like judo, like which was jiu-jitsu. Like jiu-jitsu comes from judo. Judo comes from jiu-jitsu. It was so intense for me, so I loved talking about it. So I would talk about it so much that I'd be like, oh, like this kind of jiu-jitsu that we focus on, it's all the ground, it's all the Newaza. This is all the Newaza stuff. And then Eddie Bravo would be like, all right, shut up, Newaza, we get it.
There you go.
And then
and that stuck.
Yeah,
I like it.
So I started, I started to compete, and I started selling T-shirts, and it just blew up.
Yeah. Now, how did that? So tell me about the transition there, because most people probably know you more because of the brand that you started, which is the Newaza, I guess called a clothing brand, and that blew up fast. I remember seeing just a couple things, and all of a sudden it was this big deal. But how did you suddenly go from like, okay, I'm a guy who training jiu-jitsu, and then I make a T-shirt? Like, what made you want to even do a first T-shirt? Were you thinking about starting a big company, or?
Oh no, it just had to work. All this stuff had to work. Like the dream had to work. And how does the dream work, Mr. Odell?
You just gotta do it. I mean, I don't know. It's the only way. You just kind of like, you come up with an idea and you just put it into action. That's what I did. So you just kind of have to do, whether or not you even know what the hell you're doing, you kind of just have to just try it. So, but you had that. I mean, was your thought that I'm starting a brand now, or was it like, hey, I want to make some cool T-shirts for my jiu-jitsu buddies?
No, it was to like, I wanted to compete, so I had to be real. And like, I wanted to reverse, like jiu-jitsu teaches you to like reverse engineer stuff. So it's like, it's like, oh, you want to put your leg here, put your leg there.
Yeah.
And then it'll be here.
Right.
So like,
so you did that from a business sort of.
yeah, I spent money on this stuff. And like, I wanted to be like a champion, and I wanted these things. So like, who's going to make that shit happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Only you. You know what I
Interesting.
mean? So I did that with this idea, like, this has to work. Like, this has to be able to support my son. And it has to be able to support me. And it's like, was a driving factor. So it's like, fuck, dude, like, I could do this, or I could get like, some shit job. Like, I could either spend all my time away from my son and miss all these moments. You know what I mean? Or I can really double down on this thing that I feel like helps. In Japanese, they'd call this an ikigai. So when I felt like jiu-jitsu was my ikigai. It was something I loved. It was something
like a calling, or
it's something that I can make a career out of. It's something I can make money at. It's something that could be a job, which are all three different things. And then it could be something that I think betters the world.
Yeah.
And I think it could be something that betters myself. I think it's important to note that, like, Higuro Kano said with judo, is that like jiu-jitsu or judo is, which I interchange both the terms. Jiu-jitsu is meant to, number one, better yourself, and number two, better your community. So like that's even though jiu-jitsu like in essence is this idea about the bushibis, which were like these like a very savage early like pre-gun people who later became the samurais. Like they'd thumb your eye, they'd pull your fingers back, because jiu-jitsu meant like you don't have a weapon, otherwise you'd be doing a different jitsu. Like if you had a bow staff, it'd be bow jitsu, right? All these things. So like it was really nasty, mean stuff, because it was really defending yourself. Sure. And like you think old world life, like people be mean, dude. Yeah. People be real mean, though.
Especially if you're in the middle of a battle,
or even in the middle of a farm, and you just got a creeper feller coming by.
Good point.
And there's no phones.
Yep. It's
just different. So the jiu-jitsu had to be really effective. So it was very brutal. And a lot of the early judokas talk about, like, this is not jiu-jitsu, this is judo. Like, we have tamed, like, the beastly part of jiu-jitsu. Yeah. So, like, that's so Higuro Kano said that. So, jiu-jitsu is better yourself, and number two, better your community. And I felt like it was all these things for me. Yeah. And I don't know about you, but you see people's lives transform, and jiu-jitsu is the vehicle for that. That's true. And for me, it's helped me get through the ups and the ruts of life. Like I think jiu-jitsu is a good way to operate, like how the Japanese use kaizens. Though kaizens are a Japanese term to get incrementally better in a measurable way, right? In every way. Now jiu-jitsu, and especially if you look at like just like it as positionary, like there's so many positions to get very good at. And that's why if you want to be a competitor, you just want to look at where somebody defensively is a 0 and be offensively a 1. Yeah. That's why a lot of upsets happen in grappling all the time, and then like it doesn't, like the math doesn't make sense. Any man could best any man, but like it's really interesting. It's a real enigma, the wrestling. Sure. So the digging for knowledge, like all these things like seemed like, I want to do this. Like I don't want to work at Costco. Right. You know what I mean? I don't want to work at Sam's Club. I don't want to work for the machine. Like these people who are like corporations, like paying for like our defeat. You know what I mean? Like they're pushing like just the worst. You know what I mean? Like I'm about the realness.
Trying to make a buck, or something. That's a problem. Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, because people got to figure out how to. I'm certainly a pro-capitalist kind of guy, but at the same time, I think people need meaning and purpose in their lives. And if you're doing something without that, I find that people generally always feel a bit empty and kind of generally also a little bit resentful and pissed off at the end of the day, and that's no good for the world. So. Yeah, I'm sure there's somebody out there that can enjoy those things to an extent and still help the world. But yeah, I could see how definitely you don't want to be a cog in that sometimes. And yeah, you had an interesting idea there to do the brand, but you've got a bit of a rise and a fall of all of that. So but you had your rise was amazing, like, cause like I said, I remember seeing, like, I saw I think I remember seeing Orchard wear the rash guard with, like, the galaxy on it or whatever. Nobody had done it. I mean, it was a rash guard, but it had a really cool design, and it seemed to be well made and everything, and those were awesome. And all of a sudden it was like, okay, I saw that, and I'm like, oh, they're kind of rare. That's interesting.
Yeah, you
and
gotta do it like
bam.
skateboard decks. You gotta do it like skateboard decks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the key there is, like, if you go to the skateboard shop and you didn't buy it, and I suck at skateboarding. I always got hurt. Did you ever skateboard?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't touch them now. Every time I get on a board now, I drop on my tailbone in, like, the first 5 minutes. I'm like, God damn it, no.
You make it 5 minutes?
I miss it, though.
You make 5 minutes, though?
It's because I'm not going far.
I can't even make the first.
Although Buddha
seconds.
used to, the
first
last
5
time I
seconds.
used it was Buddha pulling me on my skateboard when I used to have orders. When I just used to fulfill the orders myself, he would, like, I would hitch him up on, because he liked to pull, and just let him pull the skateboard, and, like, yeah, he was the transport for many Datsusara orders, but that was a lot safer than any real skateboarding. So when I was a kid, though, I was a shitty skateboarder for a while. But anyway,
I mean,
you do, like, skateboard decks, huh? That was
So I do like skateboard decks. Like, if you don't grab that skateboard deck, dude, you're gonna kick yourself. It's not there tomorrow.
Right.
And it wasn't.
It's true.
But yeah, like, and then, like,
So
I wasn't. Like, I was all there, and then I, like, all wasn't.
Yeah, but,
You know
like,
what I mean?
so, like, you have, like, you make one T-shirt or something, and then what? And then you're like, oh, those did well, and then you turned over the money, and you're like, oh, let's do more. I mean, tell me about, like, how you grew that up a little bit.
Oh, I think the first thing is you like, it has to be authentic, and I think what I first identified with you with was how authentic you were. In that you went fucking ape shit on the fake Hemke. So the fake Hemke got made, and Chris Odell had enough bullshittery for that day. And he done let this feller have it. Now, you done contacted this guy. You reached out a bunch.
I tried to be as civil as I could and help out the nice way,
So,
Yeah.
so that's when I first connected with you. 'Cause I talked to you, and I was like, yo, dude, like...
Yeah.
I don't remember what I said. What did I say? Was it crazy?
I don't remember. I remember talking. That was when I still lived in Felton, California, and it was. I mean, I had heard about you, obviously, and I don't know. I remember that was so much going on right then because I was
What did you hear
exposing
about?
that. I mostly just saw the brand everywhere, and I didn't know a whole lot about you personally, but I just knew that, like, oh, here's this guy, and he's got this brand, and he's been competing. I knew about. I think that might have been after Fartgate. I don't know.
Oh my god, I remember that.
Yeah. So the famous, for those that don't know, you had a somewhat famous match where you did some pretty extreme flatulence, and in the middle of the match, and I think did the guy, like, he just got up, like he was out, right? I forgot, like, kind of just went. I can't remember. I haven't watched it in a while.
That feller had like a couple matches. He competed in the Masters division.
Yeah.
And the adult division same time. So I'm not I'm 27, so I'm not like I'm not in the Masters division, but he did both, and then came back to me as he was like my second or third match. Okay. And he was just gas tired. Yeah. And he does. You remember when I said you could bludgeon somebody with a pin? Yes. Sometimes when people bludgeon you with a pin,
it squeezes.
It does. It does squeeze your fart strings.
You get some gas trapped. Yeah. I mean, did you have a burrito that day?
California burrito. So I always tell people, I was like, you know what, dude, I always want to leave a mark on the grappling world, but I didn't want it to be a skid mark.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for that.
How many views did that thing get? That thing went everywhere.
Yeah, dude, and like my buddy like sold it, and like dude, it was so lame, dude. My buddy like sold it. He's like, dude, like I just sold it for like $100 to this company. Like, dude, like and now it's like on ridiculousness. And what's that guy's name?
It's before everybody was monetizing terribly well, but yeah, he could have gotten something for that.
And that's kind of like the story that you could think of. You could look at all these opportunities like, oh, you could have done this, you could have got that, you could have got this, or you can laugh. And now if you laugh about something, and I learned this a lot because I teach a lot of kids, and if you can laugh, you can be relaxed enough to learn. Because if you're laughing, you'll try things more than once. Now, if you're frustrated, you'll do it maybe once. Yeah. Maybe a couple times. Maybe you just threw that remote control across the room. That was crazy. Yeah. Or you're relaxed and you're laughing, and you can lull yourself into what they call flow state, where I think it's a period where you're just like, you're fine with making mistakes because you're just ready to navigate through that. So I think laughing is important for learning. But yeah,
a role of sorts.
Yeah, and I think about these things, dude. I don't know, dude. Like,
that's a good point, though. No, and I know I've learned best and stuck around longer and had a lot more fun whenever things, you know, obviously you want to be serious enough to put in some work and do what you need to do to learn. But at the same time, yeah, if you keep things light and you don't get frustrated, like I've seen. And sometimes, I mean, I know guys too have been frustrated and in jiu-jitsu and gone on to do well, but the way they do it, I don't know. They also tend to break when things go bad for them for a while, or they get to a certain belt rank, they fall apart.
Now look at actual jiu-jitsu. So look, you are on the ground, I'm wrestling you, I'm pinning you, you can do these things, you can relax, and it might allow you to bridge a lot more than when you go,
yeah.
So like there's a tensing, and there is going to be a breaking because you did not manage the pinion. Like you cannot, and the pain is meant to make you be overwhelmed by just sheer time.
Yes. Yeah.
So you get people, and they're gonna, they're gonna exploit you for your ideas, for your creativeness, and they're and they're gonna pressure you, and the way they pressure you is by time. Yeah. So the more time that goes by, the more pressure that's gonna happen. Right. Okay. So that's why pins are effective. That's why a lot of these psychological games are effective, and that's why you get a lot of people, breaking. Yeah. But fuck that bullshit, Chris O'Dell. You can't break from that shit. Like, that's right. Listen, like if jiu-jitsu doesn't teach you that everything's hard before it's easy, you're doing jiu-jitsu wrong. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Jiu-jitsu is very, very hard, and it's very, very tough because life is tough, because other people are tough, but they also break. So you can invest in them breaking, or you can invest in you breaking, or you can invest in everybody getting better together. Yeah. So, like, shit, man, like life's jiu-jitsu, and life is constantly going to kazushi you. It's going to push you around, and it's going to try to off-balance you. Yeah. I like that. Some jiu-jitsu philosophy right there. Yeah, so for you guys who didn't think, like, we're going to talk philosophy, jiu-jitsu, and I encourage you guys, if you do not do jiu-jitsu, please give it a chance. If you don't have a good time right away, fine. You're not supposed to have a good time all the time either. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's something else I learned in life. So if I could take the time to, like, tell you guys what I think I think I should, take time to use jiu-jitsu as a vehicle to help balance your life out. I think it's very, very powerful. Yeah, agreed. Especially if you tend to have a job where you sit a lot or don't do much physically all day. I think it really helps balance people out in that manner, and just makes people feel more comfortable and better walking around day to day. I mean, you'll hold yourself better. I find even just being comfortable in your body and being physically aware is a really nice thing that I didn't have, especially when I was like, just a computer geek sitting around and thinking that I knew something about fighting when I knew nothing at all in reality. So, it's good stuff for sure. And but how long have you been? Because you really haven't been into it. I mean, that long. Were you into the martial arts before you got into jiu-jitsu? Because you only started your jiu-jitsu career, like in the 2010s or something? Yeah. So I took a class. I took a class in 2010, and then I didn't do anything really till 2012. So but and then before that though, you never trained anything necessarily, or did you study martial arts at all? Or no, I wanted to. I just lived in a small town. There just wasn't any martial arts, and I couldn't afford the karate. So it was like real tough. So there was a point in my jiu-jitsu journey where I came back to my hometown in Joshua Tree and I started teaching kids for free. And I introduced jiu-jitsu to hundreds of people out there. It was absolutely amazing. It was a great year of my life. Having to move to Portland has been like awesome. Starting with the Rose City Jiu-Jitsu guys have been great. They're in the CSW system, so they're like humble. They're in the Asano network. They have direct lineage through Bruce Lee. They're Jeet Kune Do practitioners. The Kali they have there is amazing. The Muay Thai has been leading the area for over a decade. I'm very plugged into guys who are catch wrestling like enthusiasts. So I have some very serious athletes there. I have some very serious students, and all of them can laugh because the humility of the martial arts. It's wild. So I really started competing in 2012. Like when I really started to train, I got introduced to jiu-jitsu. I can never afford to train. 2012, I got my shit together, and I actually could train for more than a week. And it was awesome. It was absolutely awesome.
You had a pretty condensed journey then in a lot of ways, because how long did it take you to get to brown belt then? It wasn't that long.
Was it 2014?
Yeah,
something like that.
That's pretty quick.
No, but
nice.
You
really dove into it.
Well, yeah, I would train like 10 hours like a day during comp seasons, and then like during like regular training, I train like 6 hours, do like 3-hour open mats, and then go to multiple open mats. Like I just tried to forge myself with this stuff because who pushes you? You only you. Like now everyone could like say you're your friend and they say they're helping you, but they're taking your time and they're pinning your time. And a lot of times I'm not saying like you gotta like you could just navigate by floating it through, but if you're constantly and I don't like to say grinding, but if you're constantly climbing, it may seem like you're in a valley sometimes. It may seem that you're in a lower point than when you started, but you keep climbing. You keep climbing. What you can't do is you can't look down, because then you're losing your time. Okay. Basking on whatever happened. You know what I mean? But the future's great. The future for Datsusara is great. The future for you moving and starting academy is great. Like this is all huge stuff.
Right. That's true. And if I ever looked back at, and this goes for everybody, if you look back at your failures or start worrying about the problems behind. Obviously learn from your history, but don't get caught up in it. So that goes from everything from jiu-jitsu training to everything else in life for sure. Yep. And keep moving. That's my problem in jiu-jitsu right now. Of course, I kind of stopped moving, so I've got to get back.
I'm gonna get Chris O'Dell to come to class today. Get Chris O'Dell.
You can at least get my daughter in. Somebody in the family ought to be doing
it's
it.
It's 6:30, and so if we get them both in today, poo-ha! It's going to be a good day for jiu-jitsu.
Good stuff.
You ever train with a Brazilian?
Not as an instructor. No. No, my instructors have no Brazilians. Asians, white people, but nobody over from Brazil. I went to one place. Oh no, but even the head instructor, he wasn't Brazilian. No, I haven't. Yeah, it's interesting actually. I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah, I love training with people of all races and creeds, and
sure.
I do joke a lot about like not liking white belts, but it's purely for laughs.
Yeah, sure. Everybody, we were all there. Yeah.
Like I think that if you just judge people by their belts, that's wrong.
Yeah.
I think because there are a lot of people who are a lot more regard that you should hold them at than maybe at a lower rank.
Right.
And I believe that you can learn stuff from anybody. I learn from kids. I learn from watching animals grapple. I don't know if you watch animals grapple. It's one of my favorite things.
I'm a big David Attenborough fan, so I see a lot of that. Yeah, good stuff. So getting back to your sort of career path and all this, and eventually we're going to have to get to the elephant in the room at some point here, because everybody's going to want to know. They're tuning in. They haven't heard from you in a while, and they're like, what the hell's going on with Travis? But so let's move along the path. So you get this company going, or we make some t-shirts. I don't know at what point it became like you like named the company and turned it into something, but I imagine somewhere down that road. And then you start cranking the stuff. It got really popular. What do you think made your stuff catch on? Was it just the limited availability and like
no?
It just didn't say.
It didn't say fight me. It didn't say fight me. It didn't say I was gonna tap you out. It didn't say I was tough.
Yeah.
It was like different jokes for different folks. You know what I mean? Like in jiu-jitsu, we trust. Jiu-jitsu saved my life. Like no gi, no problem.
Yeah.
It's just positive, different. Like I looked at jiu-jitsu like surfing and skateboarding. Like grandmas could skateboard. Bulldogs could skateboard.
Right.
Like all sorts of people did, and it's fine. Like everyone should be able to train.
Yeah.
And like I think like jiu-jitsu is not just about bludgeoning people with your body. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's
to a lot of people. And for me, like I just wanted to say what I thought it represented. Like jiu-jitsu saved my life. I was like sick. I was sick from Monsanto bullshit food. You know, I grew up in a food desert. Like I
quite literally.
like I fucking want the best for people. Like not just because I didn't want it, but because it's fucking it's what I could be rich in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I almost made a bunch of money, LOL, a couple times.
Yeah.
But
right.
fuck it, dude. Being rich in what about when you want to sleep?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
What about when you want to sleep?
Yep. That's entirely important. I think people overlook that a lot. That's always my question when I see a lot of people doing, I don't know, actions that I think might really be messing them up inside. Is like, how the hell do they sleep at night? Because it's really, I mean, it's a phrase, but it really is. I mean, that's what it comes down to so many times. Are you at peace with what you're doing and contented and, following some, decent purpose or whatnot.
And I just want to have peace with what I'm doing with jiu-jitsu, and I want to keep helping and pushing jiu-jitsu. I want kids to be able to train jiu-jitsu who don't have any money. Like I want to be able to like see people keep growing in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I think it's a great thing.
LOL.
Yes. So okay, so you build up this brand, becomes pretty hugely popular. I mean, and it was doing really well. So what brings you away from that? So we're gonna get into the downfall. We're trying to get too.
Damn, we already went down.
I know. Fuck. It's no. There's a rise. There's a resurrection later, but there's what
I know everyone wants to focus on Jesus dying on the cross, right. But guess what, Chris O'Dell? You know what? He came back. That's what the story was. People forget that he came back. Yeah. They all want to see him on the cross.
It's okay. You gotta learn. So what led you to end up? You leave your company, but how did that happen? Like what? Give me the. You don't even have to. We don't have to name names. By the way, I am somewhat neutral in this. I have all I can tell you is that Travis is a good guy, and everybody, and that I trust him.
He spends Christmas with me.
Yeah, so so I know he's got a good heart. So I listen to the things that you say, and so I don't want to get too involved in any battles. We're trying to get too negative here, but there is going to be some dirt here, I'm sure. Some not so great things about people that we all know, but basically, and you can get as far into it as you want or not. But so you're running this big company, and what something tempts you away from that.
I'm tempted away. Tempted away. Promise the world.
But you think so? Okay, so you're made an offer by another big company. And you can call it whatever you like, but what was it? What was the offer? I mean, it must have appealed to your sense of wanting to do more with jiu-jitsu, to do more for people, because you don't sound like the kind of, as far as I know you, and from what you've just said, I don't think it was just the money. I'm sure the money always tempts all of us. I'm sure it was some of it, but it sounds like you were made an offer where you could get a lot of money and you could also still follow this kind of mission in life.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right?
A little too right. Okay. Too right.
Yeah, I'm just kind of piecing that together now after hearing more. So that's yeah.
Yeah, I just love jiu-jitsu so much, and you think that there's a company out there that wants to take down Monsanto, and then you find out that they're really just Monsanto, and you're just stuck. And you thought you loved these organic guys. Gals, right. And it just was Monsanto.
Yeah.
And I'm fucking stuck.
Yeah.
Working for Monsanto. And I'm like, dude, what?
And by the way, everybody, Monsanto is almost like a word that now I use with Travis as well. It more or less can relate to all evil. So we're not necessarily talking about specifically Monsanto, but they're part of it. God damn it. Okay, so you get offered. You get offered, a role, a position.
Too much. I get offered too much
a lot of money.
A fella like myself.
Yeah.
And
it was enough for you to walk away though from
almost
Newaza, the company. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how long did that last? Once you got over to this new company, and you're basically, and what were you hired to be basically over there? You're like head of jiu-jitsu operations or outreach or marketing.
I was like the muchacho. Was it the jiu-jitsu? I was like jiu-jitsu man for Monsanto.
I mean, basically when they said you're coming over, what was it like? Hey, Travis, we want you to come and we want you to do what?
Here's the reins, sir.
Yeah. Here's the reins for just the
You're the
jiu-jitsu
king.
department, essentially, of the company.
And it just frustrates you because when you're shit, dude. Like I try to be in every aspect of jiu-jitsu. I mean, I worked with Grapplers Quest and Dream and Rev Gear and freaking
Sure. Yeah.
5. Like all sorts of people. I influenced and gave ideas, wrote marketing, was a key influencer for, like yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Like sweated and like put my body on the line for, and like, you just think that something's gonna be organic and good for people, and it's gonna be real different.
Right.
And you just fucking find out it's fucking Foxcatcher bullshit,
So
and you get caught in this
wrong?
It's just Foxcatcher bullshit.
Okay.
So like, you get
so
caught.
you're there. So you're kind of doing your job, maybe. I mean, did you ever really get to do your job? I mean, you put out some ideas. I
put some
imagine.
things,
And you're there for what, like 2-3 months, maybe?
and I'm gone.
Okay. So how did that fall apart? As much as you want to talk about.
I got Foxcatchered, and I didn't want to be at Foxcatcher Farms, so I left Foxcatcher Farms. And then I got like, and they're like, oh, we want
Yeah.
to fuck with you again.
Yeah. And everybody, we're talking somewhat in code because nobody wants to get sued or have too much trouble. So those of you who know what we're talking about know what we're talking about. Yeah.
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 Fuck.
Yeah.
And then everyone
But it
turns
just
your
goes-
back. They turn their fucking back on you. And I'll tell you this, Chris O'Dell,
Yeah.
it's better to have 4 quarters than 100 pennies.
Yeah. It's true. So basically though, but you were doing your job. You were doing everything that you were essentially hired to do. And
man, if you
it wasn't like you were fucking up and like not, phoning. You were just phoning it in and not really doing your work. I mean, you were doing what you were brought there to do.
well, I mean, Mr. O'Dell, you know what a nut I am. And
Yeah,
like,
you're pretty productive and creative. Like if I just set you loose on something at any company, I imagine you'd be getting a lot done. So I don't even ask you for stuff, and you're just like, you could lay out a whole marketing plan for me for the next year. I know that. So
LOL.
Yeah.
And like and Chris O'Dell's not a bad businessman. You see, like, so it's just disheartening. But the important thing is, if you get something from this podcast, it's that jiu-jitsu can be a vehicle for your life that can get you through the ups and ruts.
yeah,
It's a formula. It's a tool. Like, it's a lifestyle.
fair enough. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the philosophies within it are great. You know what I mean? And if your intention is to make a great thing and you bring great people onto it, like it'll probably be very successful. Now, if you have different intentions, it could be a whole bunch of fucking poha bullshit.
It's true. There's definitely no shortage of drama. So, but of course, you know, some of that drama you've definitely been at the center of, especially when recently you came out talking about your experience with this, this company in question and all of that. A lot of people message me that don't know you well, and we're saying, like my friend Daniele Bolelli messaged me, and we're like, hey, what's up with this guy? Is he off his meds? What's going on?
I don't take meds. Don't even. Did you tell them? Do these people know that I don't even do aspirin? I don't have aspirin. I don't.
It's true. So in some ways you are off the meds, but
yeah, I really. I'm like off. Like I'm off the reservation. Like I don't.
I'm starting to let mommy make smoothie.
Oh, okay. Let mommy make a smoothie. Although it's too noisy, Kira. We can't have the Vitamix running right
Just
now.
a little bit.
I know, but can you just have some juice or something? Here, come here really quick and say hi so people see you on the camera. Really quick. Really quick. Okay. Everybody who watching the video feed, there's Kira. Hi. Okay. All right, you go do your thing, babe. Oh, I'm sorry, Buddha. Buddha's down.
So, Chris O'Dell. So the gravy train.
Yeah.
If you're not on the gravy train,
Yeah.
who gives a fuck who's not on the gravy train?
Yeah.
And guess who's on the gravy train?
Right.
Not me.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
But it's always been okay. So look, like I did that stuff and it happened, and then they Foxcatchered me, and then the gravy train's gone.
Yeah.
And now what?
But then you brought that stuff up, or somebody did, because then all of a sudden there's like an article. I don't remember what publication it was, Jiu Jitsu something, and it was like, oh yeah, and had all of you laid out your sort of.
How many people said Foxcatcher was weird?
Yeah. That person is definitely.
So just wait. You
think more is going to come out?
I guess we just know there's a lot. There's a lot of hounds. There's a lot of hounds. And I don't want to be a dog guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to tear another dog's flesh apart.
Right.
Sometimes, like, hey, but sometimes, like, you get wronged.
Yeah.
And what do you
sometimes
want?
gotta do something.
What do you want?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
want, you
That's
want
all-
more than like vengeance and whatever.
Yeah.
But
Well,
why?
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, there's a bigger issue.
But other people are going to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just, dude, I just want to teach. I can go fuck about wasting time on this box catcher bullshit. It's
Right.
fucked, but like what? Dude, like,
But somebody
what?
Somebody
So
picked it up and then did an article
No.
because they know dirt sells in all communities, especially jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
So yeah, dude, there's other dogs that are gonna try to tear this fox catcher apart, and that's
Right.
on them,
Right.
Like, and whatever. But like, I'm gonna be trying to push jiu-jitsu because that's what I believe in. That's what I know to help me. And like, if I don't want to like jiu-jitsu martyr bullshit, whatever.
Right.
Listen to me, jiu-jitsu can save your life.
Yeah. True that. Better use of it. Good. Yeah, it's a tough one. All I can say is I think your heart's in the right place, and if you get it, it's hard to. I think it's hard sometimes to figure out when to stand up or fight against something or say something, because you don't want to just end up going into negativity. And like you said, jiu-jitsu can be a life-saving, wonderful, positive thing. It's better to focus on that. Same time, somebody fucks you over enough and might be screwing over other people or the community in general. That's when you got to speak up. And I know I've faced that, like you said, with the whole, with the gi company.
But that's not it. But they keep trying to jack you, Chris Odell.
Right.
They keep trying to fucking steal your products. Like they steal your products. They fucking try to emulate what aesthetic you brought on. Your cadence of your brand is now being sold off and cheapened.
Right.
And that's not why you started any of this.
Yeah, and it's frustrating to watch it and not say anything either. So it's that's hard. I mean, I think people know when I hope through this podcast they'll know a little bit more about you and your motives and understand what's going on a little better instead of just going, whoa, this guy seems crazy by reading something.
And I am crazy though. I'm crazy.
And you are crazy, yes.
I
We
am
talked
crazy,
about this.
though.
You are
crazy.
definitely crazy, but you're the good crazy. So I like
I'm not
that.
evil.
Yeah.
I may be crazy,
but I'm not evil. That's
but I'm
good,
not
I like
evil.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like Google. I'm like what Google says they want to be. Like, I'm not evil though. But for real though, like I'm not recording you. Like I'm not recording your voice.
Yeah,
and I won't sell you shit.
Yep.
And I made rash guards for Google.
Yeah. Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So yeah, I got Google guys who got my back. It's so wild, dude. This is so wild. This is the wild times.
So we okay.
So
we
with
got around
my
the whole
jiu-jitsu-
issue without saying any names.
Yeah.
That was
So
really
with
good.
my jiu-jitsu journey, I feel like I jumped the shark. Mm-hmm. I just got to train with some of the greatest. I got to train with Billy Robinson and
You
Eric
went
Paulson and Josh
That's
Burnett
amazing.
and Jake Shannon and Sam Crescent and Jesse Ramirez and I got to train with Hickson and I got welcomed by a shout of his class. Henzo Gracie introduced me to his class, and I was just he's like, my good friend. I'm like, dude, what is going on in this world?
Yeah, that's impressive.
And I just love jiu-jitsu because they're genuine people and they look at a moment as being an advantageous thing. Like, oh, I can either lift you really far up or I can push you really far down. And guess what jiu-jitsu people like to do? They love to lift you up.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, guess what?
As a general, yeah.
There are a lot of people who will try to push you down.
Sure.
Okay? And, like fucking Mark Twain said, the little people in life will always try and put you down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he said the really great people, they would make you feel great too. And I want to spend my time letting people know, you're great.
Yeah.
Be like, no, look at him, look at him. You though. Mm-hmm. But you though.
Mm-hmm. It's a good thing. Yeah, it's nice to see more of that. I mean, I do love that about the community in general. Is that's more the rule than the exception. Is that people are positive and trying to help each other out, and we're all there to improve ourselves, the community, the world, whatever. When you get into it, and that's that's a really nice thing to see, and it is a very authentic art. I mean, you can't, like Matt Thornton always says, it's something you can't fake jiu-jitsu. It's like you can't fake speaking a language or something. It's all there in truth on the mats, and I like that about the community. When they see bullshit, they usually call it and they usually address it. Now, there's definitely a big shit talking culture and some other stuff that's kind of come through, but I think that'll come and go, and yeah, I don't know. It sells enough, but when it comes down to it, I think most people in the community are really good folks and really trying to do a good thing. So it's a nice thing.
What good things you got going on, Mr. Odell?
I don't know. I got a lot of stuff going on. I have not been on the mats like hardly at all for a while. But like you mentioned, I am moving back to Southern California, even with all the crazy politics and the taxes and bureaucracy that I don't like. I'm not gonna lie, I miss the sunshine a bit. Didn't think I would ever miss the sunshine. You know, you grow up in a place that's just sunny all the time and nice. You come up to Portland, you're like, oh, this is cool. We got weather, we got seasons and rain, but this sort of like possibly 6 months of mostly gray skies and a lot of rain and being cold the majority of the time, what I would call cold. I'm a weather wimp. I can't.
You are. But you know what?
It.
You know what? Same. But you do it smart. Like, where I get cold and I cry, you hop in the jacuzzi.
Yeah, well, my privilege lets me have the jacuzzi. So I'm doing that, and but I've got family down there too, and that's
10 out of 10. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, that was the number one reason.
Always. And so that's why I'm out here in the Pacific Northwest, as my son resides in Portland. So thus I reside in Portland.
Yes.
So thus no more desert. I'm up in Portland.
Yeah. Quite
Rose
the
City
opposite.
Jiu Jitsu. Come roll with us.
Yeah.
So, cool. But you're gonna roll with us. You're rolling with us today. Like
I'm supposed to be here for a dinner. I'm supposed to be here for a dinner thing. No, it's on my calendar. No, I'm.
Okay, I'll tell you this.
I'll tell you this. Coming over. It's taco night.
Sometimes it's hard to do things.
I know.
Chris O'Dell.
I know.
And sometimes you got to do it with people you trust that are hard.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how bad my fucking sleep deprivation gets to me, and I haven't trained in ages.
I know.
It probably would be good for me. I definitely need it. I need it.
All right.
I know. You're right. Don't pressure me too much, or I'll just go the other way because I'm like that. Like, hey, stop. But no, I appreciate the encouragement.
I will
it could happen.
Kidnap you.
It could happen. There'll be a lot of people upset that I didn't drop into that particular gym first, but that's okay. A lot
of people are pissed that I didn't go on their podcast. Bullshit. Whatever.
Yeah, right.
People were. Oh my god, the fucking snakes that were like, Trav, are you okay? And I'm like, get the. Hi, serpent motherfucks.
Yep.
But yeah, dude. So dude. Whatever. They'll get mad, but you train with them. So you're gonna train. You're gonna train with Big Daddy Child.
I'm sure everybody would just be thrilled to know I was actually training again.
They would be.
And I think part of the motivation actually for getting me back on the mats will be if I do open up a school down in the San Ynez Valley, which is where I intend to go live.
Sense.
There's no
it
school there. I kind of want to
sense.
do like what you did, where it's like, oh, I want to bring this back to the community that I grew up in that doesn't have that at all. There's no jiu-jitsu there for like a good 30, 40 minutes at least of a drive.
I'll come like opening day weekend,
Sweet.
soft opening. Let's
It'd be fun.
do it up.
Yep.
I'm all about it.
Yep, I'll have to find some good. I'll have to find a teacher or two that I really like, because obviously I'm nowhere
And it's so
near
full of
teacher
them.
level.
It's
But
so
I can
full
run
of
a
them.
business, so yeah.
Well, not just that, but teaching is so important to getting better. You know what I mean? It's always, for me, I've been teaching like 4 months in, I was teaching classes and I was like, what the frick?
Wow, damn.
But it's because like it's important. It's an important tool.
Through teaching, yeah. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So like one of the things I like to do is like I have my kids teach the move. Like everyone will get together, the kid will teach a move. Boom. Okay, next kid, he's gonna teach that move. Boom, next kid. And every person has a little bit of an insight.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why you can learn from anybody. Black belt, white belt.
Yeah.
No belt.
It's true. You never know. I mean, if it works, it works. That's what it comes down to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And that way, it's a little bit like Bruce Lee's old adage. Yeah. It's like, all right,
Take what is useful.
Yep.
Discard what is not.
Mm-hmm.
Make it uniquely your own.
Yep. There you go.
And that's CSW. That's the Combat Submission Wrestling. Like if you guys look at my shirt.
Yes.
CSW. Boom. So and Eric Paulson's like the Bruce Lee of like America.
Yeah.
Being that he is an American, like one of the first American MMA champion in Shudo, like under Guru Dan Inosanto as direct lineage to Bruce Lee, who taught Bruce Lee nunchucks and Kali, and he's under Larry Hartzell, who was one of Gene LaBelle and Bruce Lee's students. So he did catch wrestling and judo. Eric started in judo when he was a kid. Went on to train wrestling with Rico Chiapparelli, and of course the heavy Shudo impact he had training with Yuri Nakamura. Eric's just been awesome, and he, like, training with him has been one of the most amazing parts of my life. So like being able to navigate through like Newaza, not having Newaza, this, that, whatever. Eric Paulson has been like a direct source I constantly am drawing from.
Yeah.
When I first met Eric, like he was having me come roll with Josh, and he was like paying me to come roll with Josh, and it helped me validate this. Like I just felt so honored, and I have really received so many long discussions with him, and it's just your time is so valuable, and I appreciate what an accomplished man he is, and like how much I've been able to draw from his well. So like I think if you really love the martial arts, and I love the martial arts, you want to go to combatsubmissionwrestling.com, ericpaulson.com, look at their curriculum. They have a whole online curriculum that's just awesome. And if you just want to pick up DVDs, he like is the godfather of leg locks. Now I love leg locks. Love leg locks. I'm known for loving leg locks. I like wrist locks too. I like strangles. I like it all. But people associate me with a lot with leg locks.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I'll tell you this. Eric Paulson wrote like the Bible of leg locks. It's called Killer Leg Locks, Volume 1, 2, and 3. Please do yourself a favor. Educate yourself on leg locks from the 90s that have influenced all the games that you see now. So, yeah, I get to learn from OG, and I'm honored. His license plate says leg locker. So if you're in Fullerton, California, go to CSW. This is the man behind lots of the man. Josh Barnett and Brock Lesnar are some of the guys in the heavyweight division that Eric's been a staple in their training. And then you look at guys like Cub Swanson and James Wilkes and Sean Shirk and and Ken Shamrock, like old, new, everybody's come to Eric and like tried to learn. Eddie Bravo even came, to train with him on leg locks for Hoyler Gracie. Like it is amazing the amount of people that have come through to him. And Eric has gone to many teachers himself. Gil Cora, Gene LaBelle, like are some of the guys I may not have mentioned already. But yeah, man, just what an honor to train with some of these guys. And I think that I think that you're doing a really good thing in the martial arts. I think that you putting out a product that's like, this is sustainable. Like, this is good for us. Like, this is made humanely. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I want to continue to do this. And you do so much for, like, these athletes who, they don't have that mindset of being able to do this without some of your support. So, like, the support you give them off the mat is important, let alone clothing their naked asses is great. Right. You know what I mean? But you really are a caring feller who just has overshadowed how much filth could be in the fight business. So
well, thank you.
Appreciate you.
I'm doing my best. Oh, cheers. Some little coffee, little latte going on. And more on that. Yeah, well, do my best. It's tough. There's still so many days where I just go, oh God, I want to keep doing this, because there's a lot of things that people don't think about when you're running a brand, like just supply chain stuff, trying to make sure things are made right. I mean, every time a bag falls apart, I'm like, softly crying myself to sleep, like, oh, why'd that break? But it's ridiculous. It's just, I don't know. There's so much that goes into it, and but again, like anything in life, you got to keep your mind on like, what's the greater purpose here? What am I trying to accomplish? And as long as I've stuck to that, and it's always led me the right direction. So, and I don't know, we don't grow as big and fast, and we aren't as, I don't know.
I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was.
There you go. Yeah, so it's like,
that's a country song.
Slow progression. Something like that.
So, off topic.
Sure.
You like a little country yourself there, Chris Odell. So Marty Robbins is like my favorite.
Robbins is great.
10 out of 10.
I didn't. Man,
Big Iron or El Paso. You had to listen to one. I'm going El Paso.
Probably El Paso. Yeah. I think I'm with you on that. Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird thing. I'm almost embarrassed by it. Well, I'm embarrassed by two things. So I'm almost embarrassed. My old self is almost embarrassed that I'm listening to some country. My newest version of myself here is going, why was I such a fucking stick up my ass and like wouldn't listen to it before? I know why, because I always associated it with all the worst elements of I don't know, like
Americanism,
kind of, like over Americanism and that kind of thing, and I just figured it was all just for racist rednecks, which was ridiculous, of course, and overall a lot of it's just a lot of modern country. It's kind of like jazz for me. Like I like old jazz. I like pretty much everything before 1950 for the most part, like old Django Reinhardt and stuff. I'm not so much a fan of the modern jazz. I had nothing against the people. I just don't like it. Django was so
different. Django was known as like the gypsy jazz pioneer. I mean, he had a lot of ailments within his hands that allowed him to play in a very unique kind of eagle claw style that you really see Neil Young adapt. So like it's really interesting. Like but you guys didn't think we were talking about Django Reinhardt on the podcast.
That's right. So I mean, like I love this. So it's the same thing with me with country. I guess certain things I like just old stuff for the most part. Like I've tried to listen to some of the more modern country. I still can't
even some
hang.
Johnny Cash, even some Johnny Cash.
Yeah, and Johnny Cash.
And there's some Johnny Cash that's like totally awful. And you're like, what?
That's true.
Well,
but
okay. Another thing people don't know about Chris O'Dell is you have an excellent taste in movies. So if you had to give 3 movies for people to watch next week, what would they be?
Oh God. Oh, I don't even know, man. There's so many good films because there's the obvious things. You're like, oh, okay, if you haven't seen The Godfather, go see The Godfather. But I mean, I've got weird stuff that I really love. Like I love Brazil. Which has nothing to do with Brazil, by the way. There's
Kundun.
Yeah, sure. Kundun's. Oh, that's a fun one. We're supposed to watch that because I haven't watched that in a while. That's just like that's a meditative experience. I like the new Blade Runner 2049 a lot because to me that was like its own little meditative experience, and it's sci-fi, and I don't know. I like such a wide range. The same thing as my music. It's really hard to. You'd have to almost say like what kind of mood are you in, and then I could be like, oh well, watch this and this and that. But it's tough, man. There's so many good films. I mean, my favorite of all time is just the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I don't know why that's still stuck with me. I love that more than Star Wars and Star Trek put together probably, but
do you like the Hobbit cartoon, the old one?
I have not seen that since I was young and playing Dungeons and Dragons and crap and hanging out in gamer stores. It's because they used to play it all the time at the what was it at what was the
I
Metro
imagine
or
you
something
growing up in the
Santa
same
Barbara.
town that like Pee Wee Herman's magic shop was in, and like Dottie's bike shop, like that's just what I imagine.
Yeah, well,
like it's all on Main Street.
Early on, in Solving, it was probably a little like that. But later on when I moved to Santa Barbara, it was
not like
little bit bigger, but that's still a small town essentially. Yeah, so it was a nice place. Took me 40 years to realize how nice it was. Of course, now I want to move back to the area. But
Who's your favorite grappler to watch in the gi?
In the gi, dude, I still really don't like watching gi jiu-jitsu. I mean, I've done more gi jiu-jitsu by far than no gi, even though I prefer no gi. But I don't like watching gi matches.
But you do like watching MMA.
I do like watching MMA,
and this is why.
Yes, that's true.
People have told me this, and they say that jiu-jitsu is shit to watch, but it's fun to train.
Yes,
and they say MMA is shit to train, but it's fun to watch.
Yes, yeah, I stopped doing stand-up training a while back pretty much after my first kickboxing match where I got my ass handed to me and I went, okay, my head hurts really bad. This is probably not healthy. And but I'm glad I learned a lot of that. And really, because what I want to see and what I, if I was a bit more of a warrior myself or would have started younger, perhaps I would have gone a little further down that before I stopped. But I mean, what I like to see is the ultimate expression of martial, ultimate ability of humans and their bodies, what they can do in a fighting context. That's something really interesting of what's the potential, like what's really the best way to punch, what's really the best way to, to control someone and to deal with them. And and as much as we can, we see that in MMA. I mean, obviously you have some limits. It'd be fascinating if we could all just have, a true no holds barred fight where people could poke eyes and whatever else, but that's not sustainable. And we're all about sustainable, right? So
I guess so.
I'm just saying, because we could do one.
I didn't think you were going to talk about gouging.
My crazy idea would be, you just take crazy people, put them in international waters, and true no holds barred matches.
Chris O'Dell,
no gloves. No more.
This is no bueno. So they used to have a type of catch wrestling or all in fighting.
Yeah.
As it in between the Civil War years, they had a thing called gouging. So that was so the match would not end until a nose was degloved. someone,
Degloved?
yeah, or somebody was strangled, and then nose degloved, or eye plucked out.
Now,
So-
what does a degloving mean?
So you would take the flesh off
Yeah.
of the nose and expose the bone.
Ooh.
And then the opposite, or the other way one of the other ways you could run is, of course, knock out. And then they would grow out their thumbnails to get a nice clean pluck out of the eye.
Damn. When was
The
this?
Civil War.
No shit.
Yeah, it's called gouging. And they did it for fun.
God damn, life was hard back in the day.
And
People
also
were
think
tough.
about
That's ridiculous.
this. Like it is said that Abraham Lincoln and George Washington were both the pro wrestling champion of the world when they ran for
You
presidency.
told me about that. That I find fascinating.
That is wild.
I think that should be a requirement. I think we'd get a very different breed of politician if they had to also be.
Neil deGrasse Tyson would be back in the running, though. He'd be
Yeah.
back in the running.
Right.
I was telling Chris, I was like, yeah, you don't know, he's like one of the greatest wrestlers. Like he's very, very fantastic.
Yeah.
Undefeated.
Crazy.
Undefeated.
Crazy.
Yeah. I think maybe he's undefeated. We're gonna have to do some fact checks.
Google that. Somebody. That's why I need that podcast assistant.
Yeah.
Me
Do you
and
ever
Jimmy would be
notice that
yo.
Google like Facebook has like different options on it, and like what do you tell Facebook? Like if I say like, oh fucking today's a great day, Chris has what options besides commenting? What can you do?
Oh yeah, like, love, be sad,
You make Chris angry.
laugh, angry. Yeah, right.
Okay, so there is an algorithm now that you have been inputting to see what you feel and how it correlates to the time you spend on that blue device. Okay, so now you go on Facebook and it tells you not what to think. Facebook doesn't tell you what to think. It tells you what to feel.
Yeah.
And who tells you what to think? Google. Google tells you what to think. Facebook tells you what to feel. And I'll tell you like this, Chris. Like you're driving me like to your house.
Yeah.
And you like we go one wrong turn. You tell me turn right. I turn right, and it was like, oh, like never mind. Right, you should go this way.
Yeah.
And I'll be, whoa, no more of this shenanigans.
Right.
And I plug in my Google Maps.
Right.
And Google tells me what to think,
Yes.
and it tells me to think that it's right.
Yeah. Right. Which can be a very useful tool when you're dealing with, let's say, maps and directions. Not so good
Not
when you're
Apple
talking
Maps.
about
Apple Maps is the
sociological,
worst.
philosophical, or that one's led me wrong a few times. I still end up using it because it defaults, but yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that sometimes it fucks up pretty bad. It's an interesting thing though. I did see some articles that came out about Facebook, like specifically trying to engineer to screw with people's moods and everything else. Oh, see, that's the end of the coffee there, which
End of
means
the
we are
podcast.
getting to the end of the podcast here. Tell you what, all right, we'll stop digressing into other random things, but is there anything else that you want to talk about? Something I missed, new projects going on, or did we pretty much cover it? You're at the new academy and all that.
Yeah,
and,
Rose City Jiu Jitsu, Portland Muay Thai,
That's where people can find you.
boxing and martial arts.
Okay. And on social media, how do folks find you?
At Travis Newaza on all the things.
Okay.
Where did we find you? Oh, they already found you. Okay, guys, so
Hey.
let me do a favor. Can you fucking rate this podcast?
Oh, yeah.
Can you
that would be
fucking rate the
nice, especially on
podcast?
iTunes. I think that's really the main place that anybody can rate it.
And can you fucking share the podcast
Yeah.
after
if you
rate it?
genuinely like it, or if you genuinely don't like it, I would love to just see some ratings. That would be super nice. I mean, we don't have a giant listenership, but it's decent sized, and we have almost no reviews. So, I would certainly appreciate it if you guys are enjoying the content. We don't really do any ads, but I would love a review. Would be awesome.
What are some of the things that you feel people have not caught on yet that you're making? Because I know that the hemp protein powder is 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
That's fucking
we've got some
amazing.
simple hemp protein powder
And the
Didn't add anything
towel.
to it.
And I'm gonna say the
Oh, okay,
towel.
so it's
now,
a-
if you don't have that towel,
Yeah.
like you won't pay attention. Now, if you have this towel, you know that it is more like it dries really quick. It soaks up like a lot, and it folds up like nothing.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's one of the products I'm most proud of because it's so simple. I love simple things that work, and our towels that are made of hemp and organic cotton are definitely one of those things. And it's like I'm surprised no one else has copied it yet because they fold up extremely small because they're flat weave towels. Take a little getting used to because at first you're like, hey, where's all my like extra cushy little French terry knobby stuff on my towel? But I can't go back now. Like, and the thing is nice, they dry really quick. So especially for some of us, you know, either train jiu-jitsu or take hot tubs in the middle of the day, whatever. If you want a towel that dries off quickly and doesn't get nasty, then yeah, it works really well because the hemp's also antimicrobial, so you get a little less stank from, you know, you don't have to deal with that as much, which is nice. But yeah, it folds up super small, so it's like a great gym towel, and it absorbs pretty darn well.
Okay, I might steal one more. Also, the chopsticks.
Oh yeah,
the collapsible chopsticks are 10 out of 10.
We have travel chopsticks. Well, people on the video get to see, but anyway, go check that out. It's just these little collapsible chopsticks that come out like pool cues. And,
but yeah, so they come out.
Yeah, I love those things, man. They're just so simple. So there's that, and then yeah, you know, the thing though that doesn't get a lot of attention that I'm really was hoping would kind of like get a little more, but I know it's gonna take some time for people to get into it, and I may take a few versions. Is what we call the martial arts uniform, chopsticks, people. The martial arts uniform, and that one is what I tried to do because since I'm not really a fan of the gi for a few reasons. I don't like it when people have to readjust their belts in between matches, during matches, whatever else.
But I'm at work, man. I have to dress for success, man. If I am not going to look like a black belt, man, how am I going to perform like a black belt?
And I'm
going to be a no belty.
I get it. I know people need the belt. I know. And I did make belt colored patches people could put on, but yeah, I know it's not the same. So there's got to be another way to make that happen. But it's more or less, I made an outfit that was as close as I could get to what I thought an average person might be wearing on an average day, street clothing wise. So you got some cloth to grab, but you don't have a ridiculous, unrealistic amount of cloth to grab. But it's strong enough that it can withstand any sort of yanking and pulling around. More or less, it looks like a closed top gi of sorts, just with a little less material.
I like it.
And it's different, and it's not, it's going to take a little while, I think, for people to get used to it and have it catch on more. We might have to do a few more versions and see like what really appeals to people. But I dig it. That's what I train even no gi in too, because one of the things I do like about the cloth and gis is that it does absorb a little bit of sweat, and it does make it, I don't know. I mean, you get a little bit of friction resistance from the clothing, so you're not just completely slipping all over each other. Because I mean, in a real fight, unless you're doing naked oil wrestling, you're not going to be slipping all over each other. Which a lot of no-gi sometimes after you start sweating and all that, lycra and spandex and whatever, you're just sliding around. So you're actually getting out of things easier than you realistically probably would be either.
But that's why I like the gi pants. Though I like the gi pants because, and people don't. If you don't know this, like if you're in gi pants, it's because you're trying to play half guard.
Yeah, that's
or
true.
you're playing close guard.
Yep.
So now the gi pants give you a lot of traction that's very, very much needed.
Yes.
Okay, so I love to roll in my Datsusara gi pants. And you know what? It's actually one of the most stolen things out of my my house and bags.
Oh,
my
yeah.
Datsusara
People snag the pants.
They snag the pants.
That's funny.
And for me, like I train no gi, and I will train in the gi pants, but I wear the gi pants casually.
Yeah, a lot of people do. That's why I'm actually trying to come out with cargo pants too, because everybody's like, man, if you put some pockets on these, I'm like, well, all right, we'll put a lot of pockets on there. How's that? So those are coming around. Those are going to be popular, but it's going to take some time, man. Making clothing's hard. I mean, it's hard enough doing the martial arts clothing. It's even harder doing like regular shirts and pants and stuff like that. But got a lot of stuff coming out for those that care. But keep an eye on the company pages. You'll see it all coming around. We got some.
And do you have a newsletter?
I do. We have a newsletter on there. You can sign up on the website. I know it's turned into like an ad for the company people, but I'm sorry. Some of y'all
sorry.
I know. No. It's okay. No, it's good. People need to know, and some people are curious because they listen. Some people I think probably listen to this podcast too and have no idea what the fuck the Datsusara company is. So yeah.
Yeah, you guys are like you're like Monsanto, but like good, right?
Something like that. I wish I had Monsanto money. I would love that, or growth, or anything like that. So. Need to genetically modify my marketing plan.
No, that's not what we're about. Oh, wait. Okay, the marketing plan? Okay. Yeah.
All right, so we even got through the dirt stuff without really getting... We went through the dirt without getting dirty. Is that some kind of like...
It's because I use the Datsusara soap. I use the Datsusara soap.
And we do have soap.
And that...
Look at that. See, this is why I shouldn't do my own marketing. You're a better marketer than me.
Well, I just believe...
over.
Well, when you believe in your shit, when you really authentically can stand behind your shit, like it's...
Yeah.
There's no better feeling.
Yeah.
Now when you have great you're the company you keep, and like I feel like I would be doing such a disservice to I feel like it'd bring shame if I didn't talk about all the awesome things that you're doing.
Well, thank you.
And I mean that, like, you guys know I don't endorse a lot of
I-
shit, but like
yeah.
I endorse this feller.
Well, thank you. I would do more of it myself, but I have the constant complex of everything never being quite good enough, and I'm like, oh, I'm just ashamed because that doesn't work quite
You
well
just need
enough.
some self-love.
I know. It's probably good though because it also means that our
I'm
products
taking his ass to
continually
jiu-jitsu. We
improve.
can't do this. We got
I know.
All right, well,
I'm
thank you guys.
in a bad headspace. It's 6 months of cloudy days for you. Yes, thank you everybody. And I will say my usual closer since I'm not going to edit it on later. Thank you for listening to Datsusara podcast. You can of course find us on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever else you want to find it. And you can go to dspodcast.com. You can also find all the Datsusara gear, all the hemp-based stuff and whatnot at DSGEAR.com, just by itself. And find us all over social media. Just look up Datsusara DSGEAR. You will find it. And yes, thank you, Travis, for being here. It's been my honor. And yes, thank all of y'all, the listeners, for being here. Be seeing you.
Take it easy.
Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.